Hey Storymakers, let's get set for your next Storymaker show with me, Rosie Tells Tales. This World Book Day, we are challenging you to get curious. And we've got the Puffin Library bursting with books and brand new games, activities and missions. So let's have a peek at the authors and illustrators that we are about to meet. Robin Stevens will be revealing how to read and write like a detective. We're going to try and tease out some clues about the Ministry of Unladylike Activity, and you will receive a brand new Storymaker game. Ed Vere, author and illustrator of The Artist, is going to show us how to see the world as an artist, and we'll practice how to draw and colour outside the lines. And astrophysicist Dr. Sheila Kanani will be back to introduce us to some of the animals who have travelled into orbit to help answer our curious questions about space. But first, can you solve this curious puzzle? If you solved the puzzle, can you say shh? Okay, in that case, it is time for Mission Spy School. And who better to lead us on our way than Robin Stevens? Robin, welcome to the Puffin Library.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you've created a whopping 13 books, and they're all packed with mystery. So what got you curious to start a brand new series with the Ministry of Unladylike Activity?
Well, I love my world and characters. I love Hazel Wong and Daisy Wells. And I started thinking about Hazel's younger sister, May Wong. She's 5 in the original series, and I wondered if she could become the main character in a new series. When May turns 10, it is 1940, which is of course World War II, and that got me thinking about World War II. And I decided I wanted to write a new series that was not just about murder mysteries, but about spies.
And the mystery begins by reading a report from May about how she came to join the ministry. We discover that puzzles were shared so that people with the skills to solve them could be recruited as spies. So if we can solve some more puzzles, do you think you'll give us some more clues to the plot?
Ooh, let's see. Are you ready, Storymakers? Once you find the words boarding school, scratch your chin. May Wong has grown up in Hong Kong, but now she's been sent to Deep Dean School for Girls, the same English boarding school that her older sister Hazel went to. While she's there, World War II breaks out, so she can't leave or travel back to Hong Kong. She decides she has to take matters into her own hands to make sure she can go home to her family again. If you find the words rationed sweets, rub your tummy. I had a lot of empathy for May. Going to a school where your older sister was so famous must be challenging. May is very curious about Hazel's life and work in London. She asks lots of questions about spying and what it's like to be in a real air raid, but she doesn't get many answers. While digging around in Hazel's handbag to fetch more rationed sweets, she discovers a very strange note. If you spot the top secret address, Great Russell Street, fingers to your lips. The note is a solution to a puzzle inviting new spies to the ministry at 13 Great Russell Street in London. So May runs away from Deep Dean to join up and become a spy. On the doorstep of the ministry, she meets Eric, who has actually solved the puzzle. May pretends she has also solved the puzzle, and their friendship and spy partnership begins. Hand on your heart if you find the word evacuees. Using a list of addresses that Hazel is investigating, they decide to pose as evacuees to travel to one of the addresses in Coventry to hunt for a person spying for the Nazis. There, they meet Fionnuala O'Malley, who has suspicions that May and Eric aren't ordinary evacuees at all. The story is told in a dual narrative from the reports of May Wong and the diaries of Fionnuala. Finally, hands to your face if you spot the word suspects. While trying to uncover a Nazi spy and help end the war, they discover a murder. And they have to use all their super spy and detective skills to solve the case and impress the ministry.
Wow, they have their work cut out for them. And I think we all want to be in a ministry now. So you must have had to do a lot of World War II research to start this story.
I did, and when I started writing the book, it was the middle of lockdown. I couldn't go anywhere, I couldn't travel, so I had to travel in my mind, read a lot of books to get me into the world of my story and World War II. I read a lot of books, but I think these three were the most helpful.
And what books have you brought to the library?
So I've got When Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit by Judith Kerr. I've got Black and British by David Olusoga. And I've got Noor Nissa Inayat Khan by Sophia Ahmed. And these all really helped me discover more about my characters and World War II.
So once you have been reading like a detective and taking all of your notes, how do you put it all together?
Well, I think that being a detective and being an author is very similar. You have to think in very similar ways. You have to move around the world very curiously, pay attention to things, listen to people when they talk, take notes, look at what's happening in the world. And I think that if you do that and you make lots of plans, lots of notes, you can write a very successful story.
Wow, what great tips for the story makers. We've got a brand new Storymaker game to make your own mystery stories. Introducing the Storymaker Dice. Design and build your dice, and there are lots of ways to play. Roll the dice and use the prompts to help plot your own mystery stories with different twists and turns each time. There is space on each dice to personalise your own prompts too. Or as Robin and I are going to do, you can use the dice to recall a story that you have enjoyed. Let's see if we can get some more clues from Robin. Okay, I'll roll first. Let's see. We've got a haunted house.
So ghosts are a really big part of my story. There is a ghost at Lyceum Hall, or is there? Something is smashing plates, frightening people, being very spooky, and my detectives have to work out whether it really is something supernatural or whether somebody, a human, is playing a prank.
Okay, your turn to roll the dice,
my
Robin.
turn.
Oh, we've got an emergency.
So my books are obviously set in World War II during the Blitz, and so Eric, May and Nuala are trying to solve the murder, solve the mystery, but also trying to keep safe from the enemy planes. They're always frightened that overhead somebody might be dropping a bomb on the house. So that makes the whole story feel even more scary and exciting.
Okay, my turn. Let's see if we can get one more clue. So we've got a murder.
Well, of course, my books are World War II books, but they're also murder mysteries, and there's a particularly twisty and exciting murder mystery to solve. There's a party at the house. Everyone in the house plays a game where all the lights are turned out. When the lights come back on, somebody has been murdered. And May, Eric, and Nuala have to work out who did it.
Robin, thank you for giving us so many curious clues. Storymakers, it is your turn to roll the dice. Next up, we are going to be finding our inner artist with help from author and illustrator Ed Vere. Ed, thank you for visiting us in the Puffin Library.
Hi Rosie, it's very exciting to be here.
Now Ed, the artist was inspired by a child who came up to you whilst you were drawing and asked you a very interesting question.
That's true. One day I was making a picture for a young friend of mine and they asked me, what is an artist? Well, when you're asked a brilliant question, you need to think about it for a while. So I thought for a while, what exactly is an artist? I thought a bit longer. And then I decided that the best way to answer it was to write a book that would be that answer.
And how many years did it take you to answer that question?
Well, I wish you hadn't asked me that question. It took, I'm embarrassed to say, it took me about 5 years.
5 years?
Yes, a very long time. It's a complicated question.
Yes,
and getting it just right takes a while.
So will you share a little bit of the answer with us now?
I would love to. The Artist by Ed Vere. That's me. In the middle of drawing a drawing, someone asked me, what is an artist? I thought about it and said, the world is a wonderful place, alive, full of joy and full of beauty. The sun shines and the sky is blue. Sometimes we're too busy to notice it. Artists try to see it all. Here is an artist. She sees the wonder, the joy, and the beauty. She sees it all and makes it into her art. The artist's head is full of colours, full of feelings, full of moods, full of dreams. Things imagined and things she has seen, all fizzing, buzzing, bumping together, around and around, turning into ideas, and sometimes into art. The artist plays with crayons, paint and pencils. She dreams as she draws. Her dreams turn into a plan to share her pictures with the world, to show the world as she sees it, its joy and its beauty. And so she must go on a journey far from home. Time to hug goodbye the ones she loves. Time to be brave.
So the dinosaur and the artist, they are very brave. They move to a brand new city and they start sharing their art with the world. And people start to really like it. But then something happens.
That's true, something does happen. She is making a beautiful drawing when all of a sudden her brush slips and she colours outside the lines. Has that ever happened to you? Happens to me all the time. And she feels embarrassed and quite sad and decides to stop drawing. Has that ever happened to you? That happens to me too. Sometimes when I've made a mistake, I used to feel like I ought to stop drawing because I'd made a mistake, I can't make it right again. But now I try to carry on drawing because you can always rescue a mistake.
This World Book Day, we all need to exercise our imaginations. We're going to try an artistic exercise from Japan called Hirameki to help us draw what we see. We have sent you your own Hirameki sheets so you can give it a go after the show. Pencils at the ready, Ed.
Thank you, Rosie. Right. We are now going to do an exercise called Hirameki, which is a beautiful Japanese exercise which is all about making art out of what seem like mistakes. Okay, let's see what we have here. Okay, first of all, I wonder if there's anything you can see in any of these. What do any of these look like? Maybe let's get a blue pencil. What do you think this is going to be? I think I see here, very simply, a butterfly. This is a surprised looking butterfly who's also smiling. Let's put some pattern on the wings. Very nice. Who else can you see here? I see, looking around, you know what I can see. I think I can see over here. If I do that, then that, and then that, and that, then this. Do you start to see something? How about a leg? Another leg. Let's make some eyes, some nostrils, and some teeth. I think we can see the artist here. So with Hirameki, you definitely don't need to stay in between the lines, but just have a look at your splodge and think about what it maybe brings to mind and just have fun doodling on it.
Okay, story makers, it's over to you. You have 20 seconds to choose your first splodge and decide what you're going to transform it into. Is it just me, or does this one look like a jellyfish and this one look like an alien? Now remember, all of the activities from today's show are in your mission packs. Last year, Dr. Sheila Kanani gave us a colourful compendium of space and science facts with Can You Get Rainbows in Space? Well, Sheila is back with more out-of-this-world facts with Can You Get Jellyfish in Space? Beautifully illustrated again by Liz Kay. It is one of this year's £1 World Book Day books. Your class challenge is going to be to make the animals who've travelled into orbit the heroes of your own out-of-this-world stories. Let's call our friend, author and astrophysicist, Dr. Sheila Kanani, for some intergalactic inspiration.
Hi everyone, my name's Sheila and I'm the author of Can You Get Jellyfish in Space, which is coming out for this World Book Day and is fabulously illustrated by Liz Kay, and you can see some of the illustrations behind me. I've spent my life gazing up at the sky. I've been really curious about space and what else is out there. And I think my curiosity has really driven me to think about what else might be up there amongst the stars and the planets. Humans have always been curious about what's up there and who else might be out there. In Can You Get Jellyfish in Space, we explore all the unusual things that have been sent into the solar system, including things like gorilla costumes and musical instruments, but we also look at the animals that have been into space as well. The US military awards pilots with their astronaut wings, which is a special badge to show that they've been into space, once they've flown 50 miles or 100 kilometres above the Earth. Plenty of animals featured in Can You Get Jellyfish in Space would qualify for astronaut wings, but as far as I know, none of them have been given a medal. Your class challenge is going to be making them the heroes of your own out-of-this-world short story. Can You Get Jellyfish in Space is packed with real information you can use as inspiration for your own out-of-this-world stories. Let's spin the wheel and ignite your imaginations with some out-of-this-world facts. Blink when you want the spinner to stop. Ready? Don't forget to blink. Fact number 1, wonder webs. Spiders were sent to space to find out if they could make webs in space. With no gravity to work out which way's up and which way's down, they appeared to use light, which may have been the reason why the webs were more symmetrical than the earthly ones. Are you ready to blink again? Spin the wheel. Fact number 2, the ants go marching. Ants became tiny astronauts to help us study how colonies are affected by microgravity. After a few seconds floating around in microgravity, they were able to grab themselves back onto surfaces. Sometimes they use other ants as anchors as well. And they also managed to flatten themselves against the surface of their habitats so that they didn't float off. Spin the wheel again. Fact number 3, space honey. Over 3,000 honeybees were sent into orbit to see if they could make hives in space. Despite the effects of microgravity, the bees were still able to build wax honeycombs in cells similar to those made on Earth. Since the bees appear to be unaffected by microgravity, they could be useful if we wanted to build communities on other planets, as they could be used to pollinate plants and maybe even make space honey. Spin the wheel again and don't forget to blink to make it stop. Fact number 4, moustronauts. Mice were sent to space to see how a microgravity environment would affect their circadian rhythm. Your internal clock is affected by daylight and darkness and other environmental changes to regulate how your body functions over 24 hours of day and night. To compare the effects to life on Earth, they used mice who had genetically identical twins back on Earth, and a special mouse hotel had to be built on the International Space Station. The findings help astronauts prepare for any challenges they might encounter on a long space mission, to Mars, for example. Spin again, it's the last turn. Fact number 5, a giant leap for... Well, if you know the space saying, join in. One small step for man, one giant leap for... tortoise kind. You may have heard about Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin being the first humans to set foot on the moon and the famous first words spoken on the moon. But I wonder if you knew that the year before, in 1968, 2 tortoises actually beat them there. I hope you enjoyed the facts that you've learnt so far. There are loads more facts in Can You Get Jellyfish in Space? And we also answer the question, can you get jellyfish in space? What do you think? You might have noticed on the spinner that we have not landed on all the amazing animals that have been into space, including jellyfish. So if you want to know more about jellyfish in space or other animals, have a read of Can You Get Jellyfish in Space, wonderfully illustrated by Liz Kay. Now you might be able to use some of these facts or some of the facts in the book to write your out of this world story. I cannot wait to read them, and I'm wishing you a very happy World Book Day.
Thanks, Sheila. It's over to you, story makers. Mousetronauts, ants marching to space, or tortoise winning the international space race? What out of this world story are you going to write? We're going to choose one story to win a stack of 12 books, one for each prompt of the season's readings calendar. Teachers, head to the Puffin School's website to find out how to submit stories. Terms and conditions apply. Show us how your class has taken part in our World Book Day show by using the hashtag StoryMakerShow. You can download your mission packs with all of today's games, activities and resources on the Puffin School's website. Thanks to all our amazing guests today. Thank you, Robin Stevens. Thank you, Ed Vere. And thanks to Dr. Sheila Kanani. And thank you, story makers. We will be back in your classrooms at the end of the year for your season's reading show with a very special festive treat. Bye, story makers.